Hi guys, it's a few days later and I had some other jobs to do, and we've got the Copen turned around so we can now work on this side and see what wondrous delights we're going to find. But I've got it up on 4 axle stands, and that's so that once I've done the rust repairs on the wheel arches etc, I'm going to coat the entire underside in the rust encapsulator and the war underbody chassis paint. So I thought before I start we'll have a little tour of the underneath and you guys can come with me. I've got some light under here. I think at some point in its life, excuse the exhaust, that thing's been patched more times than I don't know what, but at some point in its life someone did splodge a little bit of something underneath the back end of the car. They seem to have got as far as the sort of that middle box and fuel tank and then gave up, but that's helped a little bit. It's generally quite tidy. Let's dive underneath a bit more. These are quite an interesting little car because they're obviously a convertible, but the roof is aluminium and the bonnet is aluminium, and I think the tailgate might be aluminium, not sure. But they've got all this bracing. This is all standard bracing. There's another cross piece up the front there with an extra strut bar going across. And I would say that these handle really well. I'd say they're very stiff. They're more like a, you know, like a little sports car, like a Lotus, that sort of thing to drive, than they are sort of, you know, your Ford Fiesta type of thing, or, you know, an equivalent small cabriolet like a little Mark 1 Golf cabriolet or something, which I've driven one of those and they're wallowy and terrible. But these are actually quite stiff and quite good road holding, and when you jack up one corner it wants to lift the rear wheel up easily, and you can have it with 3 wheels off. I could take out one of these jack stands and it would quite happily sit there. So it's quite a stiff chassis. So that was the repair of the hole in the floor. That's had 2 coats now, rust encapsulator, and it's been seam sealed. That's just drying off. So we'll have a little slide under a bit more. Bear with me. So generally the floor is generally okay. Bear with me. Just moving around under here. It's not too bad. So let's crack on and get some progress. I dare say there's going to be a hole up at the front corner of that sill, possibly in the sill, and then another one at this back corner. I can already see a bit of a hole there, so I won't film as much as I did on the driver's side because it's basically copy and paste. It's, you know, much the same. The holes are going to be in pretty much the same place and the same process. So I'll just bring you in a couple of little times throughout the process and then show you it when it's all done, and that'll be a sort of few days work. So we'll speak later. I got a little bit of progress going on. There was a patch in the floor. Interestingly, it had only gone through this side and not the underneath, so strange, but there we go. And another one up there, and then I will grab the light and show you the underneath. This is the underside of that little one, and then that's the underside of the longer one at the front. You can't really see. As I say, it's not gone through much this side, it was more on the inside. And then I can show you the front wheel arch. Again, typical, same as the other side. We had an end cap to do. We had, you know, a bit on the sill. And that actually went quite a way along under there. There's a little gap. And then there was just another little patch further back. And then sort of the footwell area. There was a section there, but unlike the other side, the underneath is all solid and the back end of that solid, and above it is also all solid, and I've really gone at that with a hammer, and so slightly better than the other side. Now we shall put some seam sealer on that and move on to the carnage at the back end of the car. Hey guys, just thought I'd bring you in a little way in. We're working on the passenger side rear, and it was, I'd say, probably slightly worse than the driver's side. So we've got new metal here, 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 and then there was a tricky bit up there around where this sort of reinforced bit for the suspension is. So again, nice strong metal in there now, and I should see it alright for a little bit longer. I've got to finish off some welding, grinding, then seam seal it. I thought I'd have a little poggle at the disastrous front of the rear wheel arch, and I don't know if it's any worse than the driver's side one, but trying to keep reference points, and I've got some of my templates from the other side, which is handy. The sill obviously has got holes in, but that shouldn't be too bad because that's, you know, just the sill skin, which we've you know, done before 3 other times. So it's just the intricate stuff that's sort of around, you know, all of that. Like I said, this bit is where 1, 2, 3, 4 different bits all join in a big seam, and it's a bit sort of tricky to do. It's why it's quite thick, but over the years it just gets water and balloons out and everything rots. But on the other side, when I did the repairs, I managed to get it sort of to replicate the joining of all the seams again, which everything was welded in that point as well. So, hey guys, it's been a few days since I've done some work on the Copen, and I've been busy today doing various bits and bobs. You know, sort of putting seam sealer on the bits that I'd welded and the first coat of rust encapsulator, and had another look underneath and noticed a little bit of corrosion near around the petrol tank. So took the petrol tank out and had a little look, and found a few holes. Nothing major, but just a little bit more rust. What made me suspicious was that over in that corner there, sort of over there, there's a previous repair, which I'm not quite sure what they've done, and I thought, well, I'll have a little poke around. I sort of followed the seam line along and noticed a couple of little small holes there, so I took the fuel tank out and I've cleaned it out with a wire wheel, and that's what I found. So a little bit more to do, but it's not a problem. I shall crack on and get that welded up, and then we can start putting on the underbody coating, etc. So I shall bring you back when I've got some more progress. Hey guys, it's been a few more days since I've last spoke to you, and got these patches welded up underneath where the fuel tank mounted on, and they've all been reinforced and had a coat of the rust encapsulator. And today's job is to get all of the old underbody sealant off, and that will be a lot easier with a new toy. This big old bad boy, it's got some weight to it, and it's decent make PCL. It's made in Sheffield, and it's a needle scaler. And I'll get you guys set up in a stand and I'll show you what this thing is capable of, and it will certainly make getting all the old crap off a lot easier. I'll bring you back in a minute. So that seems to work quite well, and that makes light work of doing this tedious task. Because it's so brittle, like I said before, it's the problem with it, it just flakes off. You know, as soon as the stone hits it, it chips and then it rusts. So it's not very good underbody coating that they put on from the factory. So take it off. Seems to be sort of the silver paint underneath seems to be okay. But get this horrible black off, and then we'll put on the rust encapsulator, which is the orange stuff, which is all over where I've done repairs and stuff. And then we'll put on the WAR, which is, or WAR, some people call it WAR, which is a real decent quality acoustic and thermal reinforced chassis paint. And we'll spray all the cavities with the cavity wax as well. So the next thing, sort of bit of filming I do will probably be showing you the entire underside of the car all nicely stripped. I'll speak to you in a bit. It's been about 5 hours later and I'm covered in muck, but we have got all of the old crappy underseal off. And no nasty surprises, which is good. There was one little bit that needed repairing, but I'll show you that in a minute. That was on a front wheel arch, previous repair that wasn't so good. Tomorrow I'm going to go over it with the angle grinder with the wire wheel attachment, just because there's some of the silver paint's a bit flaky and loose, so I just want to get that off so I've got a nice surface to paint. And we're getting there. This is the driver's side front wheel arch, and here there was an old repair. It's actually on the MOT as a fail for corrosion near front subframe mounting, and they'd done a little repair here and it was crap, so when I needle scaled it, it was starting to blow out a little bit just to the left of it, so put a patch in there. And when we first started this job, I don't know if you can remember, we did this bit here, and I was struggling with it being a bit thin going further up, and then I ended up putting a patch in from this side and one from the other side. Again, with the needle scaler, we had a little bit of blowout further up, so it's just got a little patch going in there, which I should have done that in the first place, but hey, live and learn. But we are definitely getting there. We are making headway. Okay, so I've got the first coat of the rust encapsulator on. Before I put that on, I went and did all of the cavities inside the sills, any channels, any holes anywhere, with the cavity wax, which comes in a spray can and has a sort of 600 or 900 ml lance on it with a nozzle on the end that sprays in sort of all directions, and it's a really thin viscosity, and it has great sort of creeping and seeping capabilities. So all the cavities were done in that. Then I painted on the rust encapsulator. I used the PCL spray gun for most of it, and now I've put a second coat of cavity wax inside all the cavities, and I'm just waiting on some more paint to arrive, and then I'll do a second coat of rust encapsulator, and then we'll do the actual underbody chassis paint. I'll run through some of the work that I've done as well while we're here. Obviously there was the repairs there, and there you can sort of make out where I've welded patches in. That was sort of structurally where the fuel tank bolts onto, so that needed doing. And I also found another hole up under here. It was one of those ones where I was sort of debating, shall I leave it, because it was not really a hole, but after I'd done the needle scaler, and then it wasn't until I sort of wire brushed it again and sort of looked, because I had these lights under here, I looked through from the boot and I could see daylight coming through little pinholes. So we put a patch in there as well. And I'll just take you out from underneath the car, hold on. Rear wheel arches on both sides needed repairs in all of these places here and here, which was quite intricate and fun to do. There was an additional patch needed this side up here, and both the rear corners are completely rotted out, so they've all been done. Back panels had a coat because that was, needed it. And again, the repairs at the ends of the sill there and all in around that suspension point. And on this side there was sort of an additional hole up here, and again this entire rear corner was all completely disintegrated. Hang on, I'll take you to the front. This is the front passenger side that needed the end cap of the sill doing, and it had a little bit here which needed doing. I've needle scaled inside the front wheel arches. I'm yet to put the first coat of rust encapsulator on there, but I'm going to do that by brush just because I don't want the overspray going all over everything, making a mess. And on this passenger side as well, there was obviously a hole in the sill here. There was another one further along. I think that was it for this side. I'll show you the driver's side, hang on. Driver's side, again, the sill end cap, and there was a bit there which gave me some bother, and we ended up going quite high up on that one. Also on this side it went underneath as well, so we had to sort of do that entire box section. And then I fixed a previous repair that had sort of given up the ghost. And on the sill, hang on, that, because the end had blown out, this sill and because of the end that had blown out, it had blown out at the bottom of the sill as well, so that's had a repair. That's still got to be done with filler and then body colour and made to look a bit more pretty than what it is. Underneath, there was this box section here that had to be rebuilt, and there was a bit up under there, you probably can't see, I'll show you it from the inside of the car. There was a hole there as well. Inside passenger side there was a little hole blown through, and another one there, and that's the other side of the fuel tank repair that we did. And on the driver's side, again, bits sort of where the fuel tank was, there was a hole blew through there, and that was the bit that was giving me grief at the front. So it got a little bit more involved than I anticipated. You know, I wasn't planning on stripping out the entire interior and doing so much to it, but the thing is, while you're there, you may as well do it. So it will last a few more years. Hey guys, right, we've now got the second coat of rust encapsulator on and done a little bit of seam sealing, just going over where the welding was, and also some of the original seams, just because you know, I can see them trapping water and causing issues. I know some should be left open, they've had drain holes and it's good to have, you know, ventilation through them, but these ones go straight through into the cabin, so they're backward facing, so it's not likely that you're going to get much sort of spray up in there, but I thought, why not while I'm there. And the next stage will be putting the War underbody chassis thermal and glass chassis paint on, and also that will go inside all of the, you know, channels and seals and things like that as well. So that's the next stage, but it's dark now, so we shall be doing that tomorrow.